Cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostic alongside Scarlett Fu. We're counting you down to the closing bell. You're here to help take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast with our radio colleagues, Jess Menton and Simone Foxman, in today for Carol Massar and Tim Stenovic. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms on a Friday afternoon that is effectively erased any modest gains that we had earlier in this week with the NASDAQ and the Russell, as well as the S&P down more than 1%, guys.
Yeah, and especially when you're looking at this triple witching event, adding volatility to this, but then we also have the rebalancing that's happening before the start of trading on Monday. So you do have Blackstone as well as Airbnb set to join the S&P 500 there. So you have a lot of different dynamics moving in the market on this Friday.
But it really does feel like some of the enthusiasm has gone out of the market over the past couple of hours. I mean, we were talking just a few minutes ago, Jess and I, about how remember the Apple event? Remember that was September 12th? That was like, that felt like lifetime ago. Yeah.
And let's not forget also the possibility of a looming shutdown. I know that people are so inured to this, thinking that, you know, Washington dysfunction is a normal part of the market, but it does feel like there is a lot of the division politically is a lot more entrenched this time. Romaine is laughing at me. Yeah,
division
I know.
Even within certain parties here. I forgot about the shutdown. Thanks for bringing me down.
That could happen. It'll probably get pushed off later on, but it's going to be a focal point.
Yeah, it's going to be a focal point here. We'll see if that has a material impact on the market as markets try to look past that here. Of course, the big event next week is going to be the Fed here. A catalyst actually starting to build back up. Whether that ends up being good or bad remains to be seen. A lot of talk coming into this week about whether the major indices could hold the line, a tight trading range that they've been in, hugging some of those key moving averages. But we're getting a break to the downside here on this Friday afternoon. A Dow Jones Industrial Average down more than almost 300 points here on the day, or about 0.8%. The S&P 500 could not hold that 4,500 level, closing at right around 4,450, down 50 points or 1.2%. The NASDAQ Composite lower by about 1.5%. And your laggard here on the day, or actually, I shouldn't say a complete laggard. The Russell 2000 going to close down by 1%, basically even.
Taking a look under the hood for the S&P 500, about 20% of the stocks just that were advancing today. But then if you look over at the decliners, just over 80%, Scarlett.
And if you look at the S&P 500 index by its 24 industry groups, it is a sea of red. Let's start with the best performers here. Telecom services, transportation, healthcare equipment. At one point, utilities were up there as well. What's notable is a lot of these have high dividends. We were just talking with Tom Galvin, who was saying that AT&T and Verizon have dividend yields of in excess of about 7.5%. On the downside, chip companies off by 3.2%, retailers off by 2.6%, and software companies losing about 2.25%.
I'm going to take a look at what's happening with the gainers today. Typically, I have the decliners, so it's nice to be on the other side of things. But when you want to look at some of the few bright spots here, Apellis Pharmaceuticals, that's ticker symbol APLS, it's actually gained about 2.6%, best day since September 1st. So what happened there, Wells Fargo actually upgraded the company to overweight from equal weight, and they did say the worst may be over regarding some of the reports of severe inflammation associated with one of the drug makers' eye drugs there. Another one I'm taking a look at is Moderna. That stock up about 1.6%, so its best day actually just since Thursday, because it has had a bit of a boost this week. But obviously today you're looking at these new COVID-19 vaccines that have been made available. And then I wanted to point out also, when it comes to some of these airline stocks, Southwest in particular, because a lot of these names have been under pressure with some of these outlooks being cut back when you're looking at American Airlines early this week, as well as Spirit. But LUV is a ticker symbol on this one, up about 2.6%, so it's best day since June 27th.
Hey, I'm going to lean into some of this market angst right now and talk you through some of the decliners. Planet Fitness really catching Wall Street off guard with the departure of its longtime CEO. Shares there falling at a 3-year low. Chris Rondeau is out. He's been CEO since 2013. He's not immediately being replaced. The shares have been down about 24% through yesterday, now down about 36%, so maybe it's just a transition for the company. Also looking at KLA Corporation, this is a semiconductor equipment maker, but I really could give you just about any chip maker or semiconductor equipment maker here. There was a Reuters report out that Taiwan's TSMC telling major suppliers to temporarily delay delivery of high-end chip-making equipment. They're concerned about customer uptake there. The stocks also down about 3% on the day. And finally, Lennar, this is the home builder, markets processing somewhat disappointing results late yesterday. Yes, it beat on expected orders for new houses, but gross margins seem to be pressured. The company really just trying to keep customers buying homes. JP Morgan says they thought the order growth would be higher, but Vital Knowledge pointing out that people just seem to be looking for any excuse to sell this group with average mortgage rates well over 7%, guys.
Yeah, a lot of great stories this week, and we should just point out, as far as the broader market on that volume and the triple witching volume, looks like we're going to come in. It's the third highest volume day of the year. The other two high volume days were also on triple witching Fridays here. Let's take a look at the yield space here. There was a lot of volatility, but actually not a whole lot of movement in where yields are. You're looking at 2 basis points here on your 2-year yield higher, and on a weekly basis, it's only up about 4 basis points. So despite all the volatility, still yields are pretty much where they've been now for the last couple of weeks. We are firmly at that 5% level for the 2-year as we head into that 2-day Fed meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday. You had some activity on the longer end of the curve as well, particularly when it comes to the 30-year yield. It'll be interesting to see whether that flip-flops on Wednesday once we do get that Fed decision, Scarlett, and of course the big press conference that I think is probably going to be much more of an event.
Right, not to mention their economic projections as well. Another reason why yields may be moving higher is that investors could be making more room in their portfolios for the corporate issuance that's coming out early next week. It's not going to look anything like what we saw following Labor Day, but there is still some companies trying to lock in rates before the Federal Reserve meets on Wednesday.
Also, there tends to be a lot of analyst days in the month of September. That was something that Goldman Sachs analysts were pointing out that typically does add to some volatility there. So that's why they were a bit neutral on selling those puts. But also looking at what's happening when it comes to the dollar yields as well as oil prices and that kind of dynamic. We're talking to JJ Kinahan earlier on the radio program, and he's also watching 44.60 as a key level on the S&P 500 to monitor for traders.
Yeah, but if you're looking for something positive here, though, you have to look at some of these consumer expectations of inflation a year from now, notably below where everyone expected them to be, and consumers believing we're going to get about 3.1% inflation 12 months from now. The expectations were for about 3.5%. So perhaps suggesting that the Fed's plan of attack seems to be working, even in the mind of consumers.
Yeah, even in the mind of consumers, how much has that changed, though? I mean, when you talk about oil prices going up and $91 a barrel, a lot has been made about that with WTI and how that feeds through into gas prices. Obviously, we know the Fed backs all that out, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is what people pay attention to when you talk about inflation. At least the average consumer pays attention to is what they're paying at the pump and at the grocery store.
Yeah, this week was a reminder that if inflation is going to reaccelerate, what kind of conditions is that going to create for 2024 when we see the economy slowing down as well? Today's Friday. Are you guys going to go see any movies this weekend? Any Dumb Money? Anyone?
Oh, I definitely want to see that one. It's going to be great.
Got an 85% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm excited for that.
Is that where Carol and Tim are right now?
I think so. Actually, I think that's what they took Friday off to go together. But there was a stat I wanted to point out. So it's been 99 consecutive trading days since the S&P 500 saw a decline of at least 1.5%. So you have to go back to late April since it's been that long. And that kind of ties into a lot of the hedging and lack of hedging thereof and why hedging has been so cheap in the past 3 months.
I think Dumb Money is going to be the hit of the year.
I
don't know. I don't know if it could overtake Barbie. I assume Barbie's like the #1 movie of the year.
Oh, yeah, by far, sure.
Yeah, some superlative there, best grossing of, X many years, I think.
I know, Dumb Money looks good.
Yeah, are you going to watch it, Romaine?
No. In the theater? No.
What? Why
not? He doesn't stimulate the economy.
I actually did go to the movies last week. I did see, what was it, Oppenheimer.
Like 2 months after everyone else.
Yeah, and the theater was packed. It's like, who are all these people?
You're supposed to do Barbenheimer, Romaine, where you go back to back and you see both.
I don't have that kind of stamina here. I mean,
so we're spending a lot of well.
I don't, and even Dumb Money, look, just put it on streaming.
Perhaps.
Why are these streaming services exist in the first place?
See, Romaine, I thought you weren't going to see Dumb Money because, as Jim Chanos put it to us on radio, and I know he was speaking to you yesterday as well, he said he lives Dumb Money every day.
He does. But you know what? Is he in the movie? Who plays him? That's the question.
I don't know if he's in the movie.
Yeah.
I know Gabe Plotkin's in the movie. I know Ken Griffin's in the movie. I mean, people playing Ken Griffin.
Yeah, people playing which I think is funny. They made Ken Griffin a little, villainous, at least based on the trailer I saw. So, no comment.
I'll watch it.
All right,
What's he up
guys.
to these days? He moved to Miami, right?
Yes, he's
right there on
in
water.
Florida.
Okay.
He's doing just fine,
Interesting.
Romaine.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
We unfortunately have to go, but it's
I'm
been so
wondering.
much fun being with y'all on this Friday. But I hear Carol Masser will be back for vacation on Monday, and Tim Stenovic will be back as well. But obviously, Beyond the Bell, Bloomberg Originals, it's on everything, YouTube, Bloomberg Radio, all the things over here at Bloomberg. But same time, same place. Join us on Monday.
No, you're not alone. 'Cause I'm gonna make this place your home.
Well, with the markets closed for the